A mechanic built a mini car for a paralyzed girl. Days later, a limo pulled up outside his garage. In the dusty corner of a sleepy town nestled between cornfields and country roads, there was a man named Joe Turner. 42, gruff in voice but soft in spirit, Joe ran Turner's Auto, a modest garage with faded signage and more heart than horsepower. Most locals knew Joe as the guy who could fix anything with an engine and a wrench. What few knew was that he also had a habit of fixing things no one brought in, like broken swings at the park, busted wheelchair ramps, or even the cracked smile of someone just having a rough day. On a chilly November morning, Joe was tinkering with a carburetor when he noticed a woman in scrubs struggling to lift a child from the back seat of an old sedan. The girl was no more than 8, with curly hair and eyes that seemed older than her years. Her legs hung motionless as the woman, her mother, perhaps, gently settled her into a wheelchair. Joe couldn't look away. Something about the girl tugged at him. Maybe it was the way she smiled despite her clear struggles. Or maybe it was the way she stared longingly at a group of neighborhood kids zipping around on scooters and bikes near the gas station across the street. She didn't complain. She just watched. The next day, Joe saw them again. And the next. By the 4th day, he'd learned their names. The girl was Lily, and her mother was Tanya, a single parent who worked 2 jobs and barely made enough to cover Lily's therapies. Joe offered to rotate the tires on their old car for free. Tanya hesitated, but Joe insisted. She deserves a smoother ride, he said, winking at Lily. What Joe didn't say was that an idea had started brewing in his mind, an idea that would become a mission. That night, under the flicker of the lone garage light, Joe dragged out scrap metal, old bike parts, a retired lawnmower engine, and pieces from broken go-karts he'd kept, just in case. He sketched plans on pizza boxes, scribbled ideas on napkins, and worked long into the night with only country radio and the hum of his dreams for company. For 2 weeks, Joe poured everything he had into building a one-of-a-kind mini car, sized just right for a child, with custom controls Lily could operate with her hands. It wasn't fancy. The paint was chipped in places. The engine sputtered sometimes. But it was hers. When he wheeled it out to her on a crisp Saturday morning, Lily gasped so loudly that the birds stopped chirping. "You made this, for me?" she asked, barely above a whisper. "Built it special," Joe said, suddenly self-conscious. "She's got hand controls, padded seat, even a horn. Ain't the quietest, but she runs." Lily touched the steering wheel as if it were made of gold. Then, slowly, she slid into the seat with her mother's help. With Joe guiding her through the controls, Lily started the engine. The whole block seemed to come alive as the mini car took off, slow and steady. Down the street, with Lily giggling louder than the motor. Neighbors clapped. Kids ran beside her. Tanya covered her mouth with both hands, tears streaming down her face. Joe just leaned against the garage, arms crossed, pretending the dust in the air had made his eyes red. 3 days later, Joe was fixing a brake line when he heard the unmistakable purr of a high-end engine outside. A sleek black limousine, polished to perfection, pulled up to his garage. "What in the world?" he muttered, wiping his hands on a rag. The driver stepped out, followed by a tall man in a sharp gray suit. His presence commanded attention, but his smile was gentle. "You Joe Turner?" the man asked. "Depends who's a skin," Joe replied, cautious. "I'm David Langston, CEO of Langston Mobility Technologies. My daughter Lily thinks the world of you." Joe blinked. "Your daughter?" "I'm her biological father," the man said, voice steady. "Tanya and I separated before Lily was born. I've always supported them financially, but I wasn't always present. That's changing now." He walked over to the mini car parked at the garage, where Lily's name was painted in purple glitter letters. "She told me what you did. I saw the videos online, Tanya posted them. They've gone viral." Joe scratched his head, bewildered. "I build things. I don't go online much. David chuckled. You built more than a mini car, Joe. You built a moment that restored hope, not just for Lily, but for everyone who saw it. And I want to help you do more. The CEO opened the limo door and pulled out a large black folder. Inside was a proposal. I want to partner with you. We'll fund a full shop, Turner Mobility, right here in this town. You design, we manufacture. Mini vehicles, adaptive toys, mobility solutions for kids like Lily. You've got the heart. I've got the means. Joe stared at the folder. Then at the man. Then at the mini car. But I'm just a small-town mechanic, he said quietly. David smiled. Exactly. And sometimes, the smallest towns produce the biggest heroes. Within 6 months, Turner Mobility was up and running. Kids from all over the state came for fittings, test rides, and custom builds. Joe trained local mechanics. Tanya ran the office. And Lily? She became the honorary, chief test driver, zipping around the lot with the same wild giggle that started it all. One evening, Joe sat on the porch of his small house, watching the sun dip behind the garage turn factory. Lily wheeled up beside him. You gave me freedom, she said simply. Joe looked down at her, his voice thick. You gave me purpose, kid. In a world that often speeds past pain and need, one man's act of kindness reminded us all, you don't have to be rich or famous to change a life. Sometimes, all it takes is a heart that listens, and hands willing to build what the world forgot to give. And when you give without expecting anything in return, the universe just might pull up in a limousine.